Train the muscles, not the joints.
Well, welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about which muscle or which exercise to train first. Now, of course, anything that I say here can be changed or these rules can be broken, okay? So these aren't absolute rules by any means, but these are a few of the ways that I choose which exercise that I should train first in any one workout, okay? So I'm assuming you're gonna put like a number of body parts in one workout, whether it's 2 or 3, or a number of exercises in one workout, maybe 2, 3, or up to 10 exercises. Who knows how many exercises you're doing depending on what type of split program you're on and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to basically tell you how I figure out which exercise is most effective for me to start with. Now, one of the first things I do is I decide what is my weakest muscle group. That is usually how I dictate what I'm going to train first. So I call this the priority principle. So if I have a really weak upper chest, hey, guess what? I'm doing upper chest first. If I have a really weak set of calves, well, then I'm doing calves first. Of course, lately I've been neglecting that entire body part and this entire principle for that area. But ideally, that's exactly what I would be training first, is probably my calves for every workout and upper chest. So if I'm doing chest that day, instead of starting with flat bench, most of the time I'm starting with inclines at this point because I do want to concentrate on that upper chest. Now for somebody else it might be different, but this is one way that you could determine which muscle group you should start with first or what exercise you should start with first. Now another way that I determine which body part or which exercise I should train first is I decide what is the body part that I have the hardest time getting motivated to train. Okay, so for years it was legs, and this is probably why my legs became my best body part when I was competing. I usually would train them first because I knew after doing delts or triceps, say I was going to do a shoulder, tricep, and leg day, usually by the time I came around to legs, if I did my upper body first, I had this nice pump and the triceps were burning and everything like that. And then I go to do legs and I just was gassed. I just didn't really feel like doing legs. It just seemed to take so much mental effort on my part in order to train legs, especially with heavy squats or that kind of stuff. I just wasn't really into doing a high volume leg workout after already attacking a few other body parts. So what I decided to do was say, okay, well, my legs are the hardest body part here, so I'm gonna make them a priority and I'm gonna make sure I get the hardest stuff done first. And then from there, the rest of my workout seemed easy. You know, doing lateral raises after doing squats is just easy in comparison, or doing bicep curls is so easy compared to doing deadlifts, right? It depends on you, but there may be some movements out there that you really struggle with, and you want to be as fresh as possible just to keep that motivation and be able to actually attack those muscle groups or those exercises as effectively as possible. So yeah, that's one way I choose. I choose the hardest thing and I say, okay, that's what I'm going to get done and over with right away. So that way I don't have to manifest the motivation later on in the workout when I have less energy. So another way, and this is something I mentioned earlier, that you can determine which muscle group to train first is if you want to apply the pre-exhaustion principle. Okay, so pre-exhaust, I'm just writing up a 3-day per week B program right now, and I have some of these pre-exhaust sets in there. So basically what you do is that you choose an isolation movement first, such as chest flies, and then you move right into bench press. Right? It's like a circuit. So you do one back to back, and that way you ensure that the chest is hitting failure and not maybe the delts or not the triceps. Now, if you wanted to train triceps really hard, then you would train some isolation like press downs for triceps, or you would do skull crushers for triceps, and then you would go to bench press, and then you'd ensure that your triceps hit failure first. So this is another way that you can actually choose which body part you want to train first. You say, what do I want to produce the result in? And you may choose a certain isolation movement of whatever that weak link is, and then do the compound movement right after that. Now, another way that I decide which movement I want to do first is that I decide to do the pumping movements before the stretching movements. Now, why is this? It's because of the stretch and pump principle, or the pump and stretch principle. It's the other order, okay? The pump and stretch principle that I did a video on. When you pump a muscle group up and then you stretch it, safely of course, but you do a stretching movement, you actually start to stretch the muscle fascia out and really expand that area where the muscle can grow into. So it really is a valid technique. It's a great technique for really helping stretch those muscle fibers a little bit more, help break them down and really grow some muscle. So my brother used to do this with leg presses. He used to do like 1,000,000 leg presses, and then he'd do sissy squat to stretch the quads out. And in the case of biceps, you would do barbell curls, and then you would move after doing 3 or 4 sets of barbell curls, or how many sets you want to do, and then you'd move over to doing incline dumbbell curls, and then you would get a much greater stretch because now the muscle is engorged with blood, and because of that, the muscle fascia, the second skin that covers up the muscle, will now get a greater stretch. Now, once that fascia is stretched, now there's going to be more of an ability for the body to feed blood and nutrients into the area, and therefore you will get more muscle mass. So this is the pump and stretch principle. So sometimes I will choose a pumping movement and then I will choose the stretching movement after and experience greater results because of that. So if I was going to apply the pump and stretch principle to hamstrings, I would start with some leg curls first, and I would do 1 or 2 sets or 3 sets or 4 sets, and I would basically pump the crap out of my hamstrings, and then from there I would start working my way towards Romanian deadlifts or stiff-legged deadlifts or even powerlifting deadlifts. So in this case, you can see right here I'm doing some leg curls, and then right away then go right over to doing some Romanian deadlifts, and you get a wicked stretch in your hamstrings. Of course, you want to make sure you go lighter though. You don't want to pull anything because it is really hard on the muscle, right? Because you are getting that extra stretch. Not me, I'm just trying to come up with an excuse why I can't grip the thing. So I hope this helps you guys out with your training and helps you decide which body part or which exercise to perform first in your training program. And if you need to get a hold of me, just come to see me at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and take care for now. And share my stuff.